founder of the Bronx Institute for Urban Systems in the Bronx, and a co-founder of Savesection 9. And I'm also a member of Community Board 1, where I sit in the Land Use Committee. So everything that has to do with development and money that goes into my neighborhood, I sit in that committee. So first I wanted to start a little bit about public housing from my perspective. I'm an immigrant, Maria Young, and then she moved into public housing in 1957. She was the second tenant in Millbrook Housing. The second tenant left 10 years later, and she stood there. She stood there for more than 50 years until she passed away 5 years ago. All my brothers are about 60 years old, and they were all raised in public housing. And they told me those days back then, my mom used to tell me in that time they used to bring milk to people into housing. And also the elevators, they were split into, one elevator went halfway and the other one went the other rest of the floors. And everything was nicer. There were not a lot of people of color during that time. So, the black population and the Latinos came in a little bit later on in the 60s. So I'm going to start with the disinvestment of public housing. No, I have.
Okay, sorry.
So one thing that is crucial for all of us is to understand that New York City was a city that started public housing. It was one of the major cities that started public housing. There was another city that did it at the same time, but NYCHA was started in 1934. And the first public housing that was constructed in 1935. So that's a fact. We the one that started public housing here. Okay? So then the Federal Housing Act formed Section 9. So I'm going to keep saying Section 9, because Section 9 is public housing. You get rid of Section 9, you don't have public housing anymore. Okay? And then a little bit where some people were talking about racism. Yes, it's because of racism. Okay? You got to understand, in 1964, you had the Civil Rights Act, right? There was segregation happening during that time. There were people that fought in the 50s. The black people fought in order to be in public housing because they were not allowed to be there, right? And then you had the Voting Rights Act in 1965, the Fair Housing Act in 1968, and one major event that promoted this so-called racism was something called the welfare queen. Okay, so Reagan was governor in 1976, and he used the welfare queen in order to say that public housing shouldn't be invested. Nothing should be given to public housing because they're mooching from the system. He used that in order to propel himself to the White House. He used us. Okay, and then, so we had in the early 80s, I know I had some family members that dealt with it. We had the crack epidemic. That devastated public housing. I had some family members that went through that, so they told me the stories of what happened to public housing in the crack epidemic. Okay, so that, and then the further disinvestment of public housing from the federal government. Because like I said, they keep using the welfare queen to say like, why, they're mooching on the system. Why should we give the money to them, to public housing? So, Ronald Reagan, like I said, governor of California in 1976. You also had issues of redlining. You know, well, who knows about redlining? Raise your hands. Redlining? Yes. You know what happened to the black population? The redlining. That also affected housing. Right?
Oh, you asking a question?
Oh no, I was just stating that who knows about redlining?
Oh, I thought you said.
So, it's a key word here. It's called neoliberalism. Okay. So Ronald Reagan, at that time when he became president, when he became president, the rich people used to be taxed a lot. They used to be taxed. In the 20s and 30s, they used to be taxed 70% of their income. And then Reagan came in, and then he lowered the taxes for the rich people. And then that's when this thing with disinvestment in public houses started becoming more, because they say we're going to give the money to the rich people and the companies and the corporations. That's when they started having with privatization of free market capitalism. It pushed to eliminate public housing and introduce privatization initiatives. One of the first initiatives that I know of is called the HOPE program. In 1992, the HOPE 6, 1992. And then that led to Cabrini Green homes being demolished. 18 buildings were demolished because of that program. And then here, this is a picture of the first houses here in New York City. It's called First Houses. That's the first public housing in New York City. Yeah. Huh?
That's all.
What's my name?
No. The name of what you said just now.
Oh, First Houses.
That killed all the Cabrini houses.
Hope 6.
HOPE 6. That was in 1992. So Governor Cuomo was in HUD during that time, and he was the one that was working on the HOPE 6 program. So in 2011, the rental assistance demonstration was introduced by the Obama administration. That's RAD. And then in 2012, now we're going to NYCHA. In 2012, NYCHA won a grant in order to be involved in the Choice Neighborhood Initiative. I know because I was working on that initiative. From that initiative, that's when Next Gen came from. Because NYCHA lost they didn't win the competition. They lost the competition. They didn't get the money that they would have got if they won the competition. But instead, because they didn't win, they said they go to Next Gen. And one of the targets at the beginning was Betances houses. I know about it because I was working on that project. But they say we're going to convert, and let me change that word. We're going to privatize, okay, Betances on the Next Gen program. Like I said, I know because I was part of it. I was an intern there. And then you have PACT, which is the RAD, Rental Assistance Demonstration, is called PACT here in New York City. That was started in 2013. So that moved, I was private manager. And then August 2019, Greg Ross became chairman of NYCHA. Blueprint for Change is introduced in July 2020 during the height of the pandemic. How can that be? You're going to propose something when everybody was, at that time, was in the house, quarantined. So that was in 2019. And then people were talking about RAD that's going to help housing. And then there was an article stating that, yes, you get another manager, a private manager, but you're still going to have the same problems with your building. Because all they did was cosmetic changes. So that came out in the city, a newspaper article. And then the final thing has to do with us coming together. Like I said, I live in public housing. So I said, I have my family that lives there. My brother, he has disability, so he can't fight for himself. So that's the reason why I decided to fight for him. Okay? But all of us, we work together. Here in Savesection 9, we collaborate with people. Right? Everybody can help out. And then we also have other organizations that started organizing in order to save public housing. And then we have special guests and also a person that's been fighting with us for a while, Marquise. He's for RPK, Legislation for Self-Public Housing. And next up with him is, I think, you're going to talk about the blueprint?
The blueprint, yes.
The blueprint for
We're gonna
change.
dive right in.
That's me, and then Nasman is going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do next. Savesection 9.
So Savesection 9 was founded to prevent or protect public housing, or Section 9, to convert it from Section 8. So Section 8 is a market-based solution, and Section 9 is a public solution, which means you pay taxes, and that tax money is provided for the people who need the housing. So Savesection 9 was based on that, and we're also if you're a NYCHA resident, we're collecting signatures to a petition. That petition said that we reject the creation of public trust or any mechanism that would transfer our homes to Section 8 from Section 9. And also another demand that Savesection 9 has is to removing Greg Russ, who is not from New York, as NYCHA CEO. So this is what we are fighting for, and if you're a public housing resident, you can sign on the petition, and we also have the information of Savesection 9 so that we can get connected and we all fight together to save public housing for New York City and everywhere in the United States.
And final point, I forgot one slide, has to be with, actually two slides, has to be with the Build Back Better plan. At the beginning, it was $80 billion in public housing throughout the United States. And now, the latest bill, it goes to $63 billion, not talking throughout the United States. Okay? So, and then just mentioned the Green Deal for public housing, I was working on that. That's a bill for $170 billion. So we are looking at different things as well, how to fund public housing. And then here, people say there's no money. That's not true. Corporations and big businesses get money. In 2008, the companies and banks got a bailout of over $700 billion. That was a bailout for banks. In 2020, $500 billion was given to large companies. Right? And then the latest one, the PPP loans were supposed to go to small businesses, and large companies got a lot of that money. So the money is there. And then, like I said in the other side, it's chump change. We are getting chump change. Why are we getting $63 billion when these people got over $1.3 trillion during this time? But it's not fair. And also, we are here together, and like I say, Section 9, in order to go there and fight and do something about it. Thank you.